Michael first encountered Heidi at a mutual friend's birthday party, an evening that would unknowingly shape the course of both their lives. The party was lively, filled with laughter and conversations, but Michael's attention zeroed in on Heidi almost immediately. There was something captivating about her presence. She had a striking appearance, an elegant, well-defined figure, and deep blue eyes that seemed to hold a quiet intensity. As they talked, a surprising connection emerged. They had attended the same university, though their paths had never crossed until now. This coincidence gave their conversation an easy flow, but it wasn't just shared history that drew Michael in. He was fascinated by her charm and beauty, unable to take his eyes off her for the rest of the evening. Their mutual friend had mentioned Heidi to Michael beforehand, sharing tidbits about a girl who had recently moved to the capital from a small northern town. The story painted her as someone ambitious, seeking a fresh start in a bustling city. For Heidi, the move was more than just a change of scenery. It was a chance for reinvention. Michael, coming from a wealthy family and leading a successful career, represented the kind of life she had always aspired to. Her upbringing had been modest, and she had always dreamed of escaping the limitations of her small-town roots. When the party began winding down, Michael suggested they continue their conversation elsewhere, eager to extend the evening. Heidi agreed without hesitation. She had heard about Michael through mutual friends and knew about his privileged background. For her, this wasn't just a romantic opportunity. It was a strategic one. Being with Michael could mean financial stability and a more comfortable future, something she had long yearned for. Their relationship progressed quickly, and when they eventually married, Heidi focused less on the idea of love and more on the practical benefits the union offered. Michael was handsome, kind, and deeply devoted, qualities that made it easy for Heidi to convince herself that love would come in time. She viewed their marriage as a means to an end, a pathway to escape the struggles of her past. Michael, on the other hand, was genuinely in love. He saw Heidi as the woman of his dreams, someone who made him feel both grounded and inspired. 2 years into their marriage, Michael expressed a desire to start a family. The prospect of motherhood, however, did not appeal to Heidi. She deflected conversations about having children, subtly resisting Michael's gentle but persistent suggestions. Eventually, perhaps sensing the strain her reluctance was putting on their relationship, she agreed to have a child. They welcomed a baby boy, whom Michael named John, into their lives. Michael embraced fatherhood with enthusiasm and love, showering their son with attention and care. Heidi, however, remained emotionally detached. Her interactions with the child were marked by a noticeable lack of warmth, and she seemed more preoccupied with maintaining appearances than nurturing a maternal bond. Michael, perceptive and deeply in love, sensed the emotional distance but struggled to address it. He began questioning whether he had pressured Heidi into a role she wasn't ready for. Despite this, Heidi made an effort to be a supportive wife. She wanted to keep Michael's affection and trust, fearing that losing him would mean losing the stability she had worked so hard to secure. Michael, in turn, trusted her completely. He allowed her the freedom to go out with friends and even spend nights away from home. This leniency did not go unnoticed by his parents, who often criticized him for being too indulgent. They believed Heidi was taking advantage of his kindness, but Michael dismissed their concerns. His love for her was unwavering, and he refused to see any fault in her actions. After the birth of their son, however, Heidi's commitment to the marriage began to waver. At a social event, she met an older man who exuded confidence and charm. The attraction was immediate, and that night marked the beginning of her first affair. The relationship continued for several months, during which the man lavished her with expensive gifts and attention. Heidi, drawn to the excitement and luxury, indulged in the affair without guilt. Michael remained oblivious, his trust in her blinding him to the signs. The relationship ended abruptly, leaving Heidi both puzzled and unfulfilled. In the months that followed, Heidi engaged in several more short-lived affairs, none of which satisfied her. Then she met Finn, a wealthy businessman 2 decades her senior. Unlike the others, Finn offered more than just fleeting excitement. He provided access to a lifestyle she had always dreamed of. Despite the significant age difference, Heidi embraced the relationship. She didn't hide her marriage from Finn, but it didn't seem to matter. He showered her with gifts and attention, and she was more than willing to accept. Michael began noticing changes in her behavior. Her absences grew longer, and her excuses more implausible. One evening, as they lay in bed, he expressed his concerns. "Maybe it's time to rein in your excesses a bit," he said softly. "Sometimes I feel like a single father." His words were laced with unspoken fears, but Heidi promised to change. She assured him she would spend more time with the family, and Michael, still deeply in love, believed her. Unbeknownst to him, the affair with Finn continued. Heidi explored aspects of intimacy with her lover that she had never considered with Michael. When Finn suggested involving his friends, she agreed without hesitation. At first, she told herself it was all for financial gain, but over time, the line between necessity and desire blurred. Each new experience drew her further from the life she had built with Michael, entangling her in a web of secrets and lies she could no longer escape. Heidi's life seemed flawless from the outside. Her bank account was growing, filled with money from various sources, and her collection of gifts from her lover, especially the dazzling assortment of jewelry, had filled her safe to overflowing. Yet beneath the surface of affluence and comfort, a dangerous undercurrent was pulling her further away from the life she once shared with her husband Michael. What started as a fleeting attraction to a man named Finn soon transformed into an intense and consuming affair. Heidi found herself emotionally and physically addicted to him. Their relationship was fueled by a constant exchange of explicit messages, photos, and videos, deepening their connection and increasing the thrill. Each rendezvous only seemed to amplify her dependency. Her behavior changed subtly but significantly. Michael began to notice her newfound attachment to her phone. She kept it close at all times, never leaving it unattended, even while sleeping. It became an extension of herself, a lifeline she clung to, hiding it under her pillow at night or taking it with her to the bathroom. These changes did not go unnoticed by Michael. His suspicions grew, gnawing at him until he confided in a close friend. "Do you really believe she has nothing to hide?" his friend asked, his voice laced with incredulity. The question planted a seed of doubt that took root, and soon it consumed Michael's thoughts. Was his wife hiding something? Determined to uncover the truth, Michael resolved to find out what secrets lay within Heidi's phone, no matter what it took. The task was challenging. Heidi's vigilance made it nearly impossible to access the device. Without a clear plan, but driven by desperation, Michael devised a strategy. He arranged for his parents to look after their young son, John, and persuaded Heidi to go out for a date. That night, he encouraged her to drink more than usual, waiting for the moment she would drift into an alcohol-induced sleep. When she finally collapsed into unconsciousness, Michael seized the opportunity. Hands trembling, he grabbed her phone and attempted to unlock it. Although he had an idea of the password, it took several tries. His heart pounded, a mix of anxiety and dread washing over him as he finally gained access. Each tap and swipe felt like uncovering a forbidden secret, a betrayal that mirrored Heidi's own. Michael meticulously combed through her social media and messaging apps, his mind racing with each discovery. His search led him to a series of intimate exchanges between Heidi and Finn. The messages were explicit, the photos intensely personal, images that even he, as her husband, had never seen. The shock deepened when he stumbled upon a video. Curiosity turned to horror as he watched. The dimly lit room on the screen showed Heidi restrained in handcuffs and leather straps, bandages on her arms suggesting more than mere play. The sight was haunting, a painful confirmation of what he had feared. Overwhelmed and unable to process the betrayal, Michael spent the night in the kitchen. His adrenaline kept him awake, battling the effects of the alcohol he had consumed. The hours dragged on, each moment filled with a whirlwind of emotions, anger, heartbreak, and disbelief. When Heidi woke up, She quickly realized her phone was missing. She found Michael in the kitchen, his eyes bloodshot, his face etched with exhaustion. "What did you see?" she asked cautiously, her voice barely above a whisper. Michael's response was cold and cutting. "Do you need help packing, or can you manage on your own?" The words were delivered with an icy detachment that cut deeper than any shout could have. Heidi's heart pounded, but not from guilt or remorse. Her first thought was of Finn and how she would contact him. She reached for her phone, but Michael snatched it away, hurling it against the wall. The device shattered, pieces scattering across the floor. Heidi didn't react. The phone could be replaced. Her only real concern was the temporary inability to reach Finn. In the days that followed, she made no effort to fight for her marriage or even her son. She was content to leave John with Michael and his parents, knowing he would be cared for. Her focus was on preserving the gifts she had received from Finn. She had already transferred them into her mother's name to protect them during the divorce proceedings. Yet, the future she envisioned with Finn was not to be. When she informed him of her newfound freedom, his reaction was cold, almost indifferent. For Finn, Heidi had been a temporary thrill, easily replaced. His lack of interest stung, but she clung to the hope that he would change his mind. He didn't. Soon, he moved on to another woman, leaving Heidi alone and broken. In her solitude, memories of her son surfaced. By then, John was in school, growing up without any recollection of her involvement. When she tried to reconnect, he treated her like a stranger. He had no memory of her love or care because she had never truly been there for him. Michael had remarried, and John had found a nurturing, loving bond with his stepmother. The boy barely remembered his birth mother, his indifference cutting Heidi deeper than she had anticipated. Her life, once filled with luxury and excitement, now felt hollow. The choices she had made had cost her everything: her marriage, her family, and the love of her son. What once seemed like a thrilling escape had left her utterly alone, a painful reminder of what she had willingly given up.